Hey, what's up everybody? Scavenger here. Welcome to this video. It's a bit different than most of my other videos because one, I'm actually on camera. It's been a while since you've seen me. But I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially going through and looking for new games to play on the channel and whatnot. And that thing is the AI takeover of adult games. Is it good or bad? So in this video, I hope to get into that and just discuss, what I've found. If you spent any amount of time following adult games over the last couple of years, you probably noticed something. Every week, there's another developer being accused of using AI. Sometimes it's the backgrounds or the character art, the writing, and even the voice acting. And every single time, the comments explode. AI slop, lazy developer, I'll never buy another game that uses AI. But here's a question I kept coming back to. If AI is supposedly ruining everything, then why are more developers using it than ever before? Today, I want to dig into the data, not the outrage, the actual numbers. I spent the last several days reading Steam's owner developer documentation, industry research, market analysis, and player surveys to understand what the evidence actually says, because this conversation deserves more than just hot takes. Whether you love AI or absolutely hate it, it's already changing the industry. Let's start with something that surprised even me. Back in 2024, Valve introduced the AI disclosure system on Steam. This wasn't some vague policy change, it's documented directly in Steam's developer documentation. Developers are now required to disclose AI generated content that actually ships with their game. That includes things like artwork, writing, audio, and localization. Simply using ChatGPT to brainstorm ideas or Copilot to help write code isn't what Steam's asking developers to disclose. They're focusing on the content that the players actually experience. That policy gave researchers something they hadn't had before: real data. One of the largest analyses so far looked at more than 53,000 Steam games and found that AI disclosed releases have grown from around 11% of new releases in 2024 to roughly 31% in 2026. Think about that. Almost one out of every new games on Steam openly acknowledges using AI somewhere in the finished product. That's not niche anymore. That's becoming part of mainstream game development. And honestly, I think adult games and visual novels are probably ahead of even that curve. Not because adult developers are lazy, but because they're usually only one person, or maybe two. So why did adult games adopt AI so quickly? Think about what it actually takes to develop a visual novel. Thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of images, character sprites, expressions, CGs, backgrounds, menus, UI, music, writing, branching storylines, marketing assets. Now, imagine paying professional artists for every single one of those assets. Suddenly your dream project isn't costing a few $1,000s, it's costing 50,000 or maybe even 100,000. Sometimes much more. Most adult visual novels are being made by AAA studios. They're being made by someone working after they get home from their day job. So when AI suddenly arrives and says, hey, maybe you don't need six artists, people are going to try it. And honestly, can you blame them? Until you actually sit down and start planning one of these projects, you don't realize how expensive they become. Character sprites, expressions, CGs, backgrounds, UI, promotional artwork, Steam capsule art, Patreon banners, social media posts. The cost just keeps adding up. For a solo developer, AI isn't about replacing the artist. Sometimes it's the difference between making the game or never making it at all. Now, that's not an argument that AI is always the right answer. It's simply the reality many indie developers face. So let's talk about the public perception. Now, here's where things get really interesting. If you always spend time on social media, you'd think everyone hates AI. Every discussion becomes a fight and every announcement becomes a controversy. But when researchers actually surveyed Steam users, the results were much more nuanced. One survey of nearly 3,800 Steam users found that 43% say they had little or no problem with AI in games. Around 26% were neutral, and around 31% expressed generally negative opinions. And only a relatively small percentage said they would refuse to play an AI assisted game altogether. It doesn't mean players love AI, it means most players seem to care more about whether the game is actually worth playing. So, Are AI games selling? This is probably the biggest question, at least for me it was. If AI saves developers time, does it actually help them make money? Right now, the answer appears to be not necessarily. Research analyzing nearly 10,000 Steam releases found that games disclosing AI generated content generally received fewer reviews and appeared to sell worse than games without AI disclosures. Now, before anyone clips that sentence, there's a real important catch. The researcher himself points out that the correlation does not equal causation. Most AI assisted games are coming from solo developers, tiny indie studios, first time creators, so those games already face an enormous challenge with marketing, visibility, and production quality. So we don't actually know whether the players are rejecting AI or whether these games would have struggled regardless. That's an important distinction. So let's talk about the good. I think there are some genuine positives here. AI lowers the barrier to entry. That's just a fact. There are stories, characters, entire worlds that simply would not exist if every developer needed a six-figure budget. AI can also help with localization, grammar, editing, brainstorming, concept art, rapid prototyping, and if you ever tried making a game yourself, you know how overwhelming that workload becomes. But there are real concerns too. Copyright, training data, artist displacement, asset flips, shovelware, and discoverability. One industry analyst recently warned that AI could make it so easy to clone successful games that storefronts become flooded with low-effort copies. Honestly, that concerns me too. Not because AI exists, but because discoverability is already one of the biggest problems facing indie developers. If it's difficult to get noticed today, imagine what happens when anyone can generate hundreds of games with the click of a button. Now, another thing that I thought about was the future. So where do we go from here? Researchers studying Steam trends estimate that if current growth continues, roughly half of all new Steam games could include AI-generated content by 2028. Whether that exact prediction comes true, we'll have to wait and see. But the direction seems pretty clear. So here's my prediction. 5 years from now, we're probably going to stop asking, was AI used? And start asking, was the game any good? Because think about Photoshop. No one asked whether Photoshop was used, nobody asked whether Unreal Engine generated the grass, and nobody asked whether motion capture animated the character. They're just tools. AI may eventually become exactly that. Not the headline, just another tool developers use. So here's my final thoughts. At the end of the day, I don't think AI is replacing creativity. I think it's replacing barriers. The developers who succeed won't necessarily be the ones using AI. And they won't necessarily be the ones refusing to use it. They'll be the ones who know how to tell great stories, who create memorable characters, who build worlds players actually want to spend time in. Because AI can generate an image, it can help write a paragraph, it can speed up production, but it can't make people care. That's still a developer's job. So here's a question I want to leave with you. Let's say 2 visual novels released tomorrow. Same story, same characters, same gameplay, same quality. One was created entirely by hand, and the other used AI to help create the art and write some of the dialogue. Would you actually care? Or is it the final experience that matters? I'm actually curious where you stand on this one, so let me know in the comments. Just keep it respectful. This is one of those topics where people tend to have very strong opinions, and I think it's a conversation worth having. As always, if you like this video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Route gets a little insane, but somehow I'm still here explaining the game. Don't blame me, I just hit play. The game got weird, I swear, okay. We play loot games after midnight, bad decisions in the soft blue light. Cute girls, chaos, no shame. Welcome back to the weird side of games. Loot games after midnight, every save file's living its best life. Hit subscribe, remember